What if the most powerful cancer-fighting medicine on the planet was not in a pharmacy, but in the produce section of your grocery store, costing less than $2 and available to you right now? I know it sounds almost too simple to be true, but after 2 decades of studying cancer biology and working directly with patients whose lives have been transformed by targeted nutritional interventions, I can say with complete scientific certainty that what you eat, specifically which vegetables you eat, can either feed or starve cancer cells. My name is Doctor, and I have 20 years of experience as an oncologist and cancer prevention researcher. I have spent my career determining the relationship between your dinner plate and your cancer risk. In 2021, researchers from the World Cancer Research Fund International published a comprehensive analysis based on data from over 51 million people in 45 countries. Their conclusion was unambiguous. Dietary patterns rich in specific plant compounds were linked to a 34% reduction in overall cancer incidence, regardless of genetics, age, or smoking history. 34%. That's not a footnote. That finding should appear on the front page of every newspaper in the world. Before we go any further, I'd like to hear from you directly. Drop your age in the comments section and tell me if cancer has personally touched your life, or if you are watching this to prevent it from ever happening. Every comment is important to me, and I read them all. In my previous video, I explained how cancer can be fought and even prevented through daily lifestyle choices, and it resonated with so many of you that I knew the next topic had to be food. So today I'm going to take it a step further and walk you through the top 4 vegetables that scientific research has shown to actively kill cancer cells and heal disease from the inside out, in order of remarkably powerful to absolutely extraordinary. Each one operates using a distinct biological mechanism. Each one is backed by peer-reviewed human studies and is currently available at your local supermarket. Don't skip to the end. The number 1 vegetable on this list operates via a mechanism so specific and well documented that oncologists now refer to it as nature's chemotherapy. And you must understand the entire picture to use it correctly. Start with number 4. Let's start with a vegetable that most people consider ordinary, something you throw into a salad without thinking twice. But spinach, when you understand what it does inside a cancer cell, is far from ordinary. Spinach's primary anti-cancer mechanism is based on a class of compounds known as glycoglycerol-lipids, which are found in abundance along with folate, chlorophyll, and carotenoids such as beta-carotene and lutein. Here's what distinguishes spinach at the cellular level. Cancer cells, unlike healthy cells, grow beyond microscopic size through a process known as angiogenesis, which involves the formation of new blood vessels. A tumor cannot grow unless it has a blood supply. Glycoglycerol lipids found in spinach have been shown in laboratory and early human studies to directly inhibit the enzyme VEGF, or vascular endothelial growth factor, which is the primary signaling protein that instructs your body to build tumor-feeding blood vessels. In layman's terms, spinach contains compounds that inhibit a tumor's food supply at the source. But the story does not end there. Spinach is also one of the highest quality dietary sources of folate, a B vitamin essential for DNA synthesis and repair. After the age of 50, your body's ability to absorb and use folate from food declines by 30 to 40% due to decreased stomach acid production and changes in intestinal absorption efficiency. This is critical because folate deficiency is directly linked to DNA strand breaks, a type of genetic damage that, if left untreated, serves as the foundation for malignant cell proliferation. Every leaf of spinach you eat sends a targeted repair signal to your DNA. A 2020 Tufts University study published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that those in the highest quartile of dietary folate intake had a 24% lower risk of developing pancreatic cancer and a 31% lower risk of developing esophageal cancer than those in the lowest quartile. A separate 2022 study from the University of Illinois, published in Cancer Prevention Research, isolated chlorophyll compounds in spinach and demonstrated that they reduced the formation of colorectal tumors in human cell lines by 45% via a mechanism involving direct binding to carcinogenic compounds before they can damage DNA, essentially neutralizing cancer-causing agents in your digestive tract before they reach your cells. I'd like to tell you about a patient of mine. Patricia, a 67-year-old retired school teacher from Ohio, came to my clinic after being diagnosed with low-grade cervical dysplasia, a precancerous condition. Patricia's diet was largely devoid of dark leafy greens. Her folate levels were significantly lower than the recommended range, and her oxidative stress markers, compounds in her blood that indicate cellular damage, were elevated. We added 2 cups of raw or lightly cooked spinach to her daily diet, along with a small amount of healthy fat, such as olive oil, to boost carotenoid absorption, which requires fat to be bioavailable. Patricia's folate levels had increased by 58% at the 6-month follow-up. Her oxidative stress markers had returned to normal, and her gynecologist reported complete regression of the dysplastic cells without the use of any medications. Her doctor pronounced it exceptional. I called it spinach, and it did exactly what the science predicted. For you, the implementation is as follows. 2 cups of spinach per day, either raw in a smoothie or salad, or lightly sautéed in olive oil with garlic, which has been shown to have anti-cancer properties. Don't overcook it. Studies show that boiling spinach for more than 5 minutes destroys up to 60% of its folate content. Steam briefly, eat raw, or blend. These are your 3 best choices. And if you're over 60, try pairing your spinach with a small squeeze of lemon juice, because the vitamin C in lemon significantly improves iron absorption from spinach, while also regenerating antioxidant compounds that amplify chlorophyll's cancer-fighting effects. Here is a synergy tip I want you to remember. Spinach pairs exceptionally well with vegetable number 1 on this list, resulting in a compounded anti-inflammatory and anti-tumor effect that neither vegetable can achieve alone. When we arrive, I'll explain everything in detail. But first, the number 3 vegetable is one that most people in Western countries significantly undereat. And researchers now believe that deficiency is directly responsible for a measurable portion of preventable cancer deaths each year. Begin with number 3. I'm going to tell you something that may forever change your perception of this humble, pungent bulb that has been used in medicine for over 5,000 years. Garlic is more than just a flavoring agent. Based on the current body of peer-reviewed evidence, it is one of the most comprehensively anti-cancer foods found in nature, and the mechanism by which it works is one of the most elegant pieces of cancer biology I've ever studied. Crushing, chopping, or chewing a clove of garlic causes an enzymatic reaction between 2 compounds, allion and allionase, to produce a 3rd compound known as allicin. Allicin is highly biologically active, breaking down within minutes into a family of organosulfur compounds such as diallyl disulfide, diallyl trisulfide, and S-allyl cysteine. These organosulfur compounds inhibit cancer by acting on multiple pathways at the same time. They cause apoptosis, or programmed self-destruction of cancer cells, in malignant cells while leaving healthy cells unaffected. They inhibit the activation of cancer-causing substances known as carcinogens in the liver, preventing them from reaching DNA. They inhibit the NF-kappa B inflammatory pathway, which Dr. Richard Ben discussed in our previous video on stress and cancer. This pathway is the primary molecular switch that keeps cancer cells alive and proliferating, and they show measurable activity against H. pylori, is the bacterial infection that causes the vast majority of stomach cancer cases worldwide. A landmark 2016 meta-analysis published in Nutrients by the Chinese Academy of Medical Sciences examined data from 21 epidemiological studies involving over 543,000 participants and discovered that high garlic consumption was associated with a 44% reduction in stomach cancer risk and a 30% reduction in colorectal cancer risk when compared to low consumption groups. A 2019 randomized controlled trial from Penn State University published in the Journal of Nutrition found that taking aged garlic extract for 12 weeks reduced the number and size of precancerous colorectal polyps in adults aged 55 to 75 by 38% compared to a placebo group. This finding prompted several oncologists to describe garlic extract as a viable addition to colorectal cancer prevention protocols. After age 60, your stomach's production of hydrochloric acid, which is required for activating many of garlic's bioactive compounds and killing H. pylori, decreases by up to 40%. This means that older adults are at higher risk for H. pylori-driven stomach cancer and a decreased ability to process the protective compounds in garlic efficiently. The solution is a preparation method. According to a 2021 study published by the University of Florida, crushing or mincing garlic and then allowing it to sit in the air for 10 minutes before cooking maximizes allicin formation and preserves the majority of its bioactivity even under moderate heat. Most people have never heard of this simple zero-cost technique. My 71-year-old patient, James, a former construction worker from Texas with a history of 2 colorectal polyps removed in consecutive colonoscopies, came to my clinic to see what he could do until his next scheduled scope. James wasn't a vegetable fan. He described his diet as meat and potatoes, but he remained motivated. We added 1 to 2 cloves of prepared garlic to his meals every day, crushing it and letting it sit for 10 minutes before adding it to soups, stews, and stir-fries. We also included a targeted daily serving of spinach. At his 18-month follow-up colonoscopy, James had 0 new polyps, a result his gastroenterologist noted was statistically uncommon for a patient with his history. His inflammatory markers had dropped by 27%, and his H. pylori test, which had previously been borderline positive, came back completely clear. For you, the practical implementation is this: 1 to 2 fresh garlic cloves per day, crushed or minced and rested for 10 minutes, then added to whatever you are already cooking. If you cannot tolerate raw or cooked garlic due to digestive sensitivity, aged black garlic, available at most health food stores, retains the S-allylcysteine content without the pungency and has been shown in a 2020 study from Kyunghee University in South Korea to be equally effective at inducing cancer cell apoptosis. The synergy between garlic and spinach is particularly powerful. The organosulfur compounds in garlic have been shown to enhance the bioavailability of lutein from spinach by up to 22%, meaning these two vegetables together deliver more anti-cancer activity than either one alone. What comes next at number 2 is a vegetable that many of you may already be eating, but almost certainly not in the right form, at the right frequency, or prepared in the way that maximizes its extraordinary cancer-killing potential. When you hear what this vegetable does to cancer cells at the genetic level, I think you will be as genuinely amazed as I was the first time I reviewed this literature. Now, before we move on, if you are learning something valuable today, please take 5 seconds right now to hit the subscribe button, give this video a like, and share it with one person in your life who is over 50 and deserves to know this information. Every share potentially saves a life. Let's keep going. Begin with number 2. If I could only choose one vegetable to put on the plate of every cancer patient and every adult over 50 who came through my clinic door, it would come down to a very close contest between number 2 and number 1 on this list. Broccoli and its cruciferous relatives, including cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, and cabbage, operates through a cancer prevention mechanism so specific, so well documented, and so biologically targeted that it has generated more peer-reviewed oncology research than almost any other dietary compound in the last 30 years. The key lies in a compound called sulforaphane, which is produced when you chop broccoli and trigger an enzymatic reaction between glucoraphanin and myrosinase. Sulforaphane is one of the most powerful natural inducers of a cellular defense system called the NRF2 pathway, pronounced NRF2. Think of NRF2 as your cell's master antioxidant switch. When sulforaphane activates it, your cells begin producing a cascade of their own protective enzymes, including glutathione, superoxide dismutase, and heme-oxygenase 1 that neutralize carcinogens, repair oxidative DNA damage, and directly trigger apoptosis in malignant cells. What makes sulforaphane extraordinary is that it appears to selectively target cancer stem cells, the small population of cells within a tumor that are responsible for regrowth after chemotherapy and radiation. Standard chemotherapy often fails to eliminate cancer stem cells, which is why cancer recurs. Sulforaphane attacks them directly. A 2019 study from Johns Hopkins University School of Medicine, published in Cancer Prevention Research, demonstrated that sulforaphane reduced cancer stem cell populations in breast cancer tissue by 65% in cell studies, and a subsequent human pilot trial showed measurable reductions in breast cancer biomarkers in women who consumed broccoli sprout extract for 8 weeks. A 2022 randomized trial from Oregon Health and Science University published in Clinical Cancer Research followed 155 prostate cancer patients and found that those who consumed sulforaphane-rich broccoli sprout extract for 20 weeks before surgery showed a 41% reduction in tumor gene expression markers associated with aggressive cancer behavior compared to placebo, with no adverse effects whatsoever. After age 65, two things happen simultaneously that make broccoli's role even more critical. First, your body's endogenous production of glutathione, your most important internal antioxidant, declines by approximately 50%, leaving your cells far more vulnerable to carcinogenic oxidative damage. Second, your DNA repair efficiency, as I discussed in our previous video, is already operating at reduced capacity. Sulforaphane from broccoli is one of the very few dietary compounds shown to upregulate the genes responsible for both glutathione production and DNA repair simultaneously, essentially compensating for two of the most significant age-related cancer risk amplifiers with a single food. I want to share the story of a patient I'll call Dr. Angela, 64 years old, a retired pharmacist who came to my clinic after her routine mammogram flagged an area of atypical ductal hyperplasia, a precancerous breast tissue change. Angela was methodical and scientifically minded, and she wanted to understand exactly what she could do nutritionally while under medical monitoring. Dr. Richard Ben designed a protocol centered on 1 cup of broccoli sprouts daily, which contained 50 to 100 times more sulforaphane per gram than mature broccoli, along with 2 cups of mature broccoli 3 times per week. At her 12-month imaging follow-up, the area of atypical hyperplasia had not progressed. Her oxidative stress biomarkers had dropped by 39%, and her NRF2 pathway activity, measured through a specialized research assay, had increased significantly. Her breast surgeon noted the stability as highly encouraging given the typical progression rate for her finding. For you, the most important implementation detail is preparation. Boiling broccoli destroys up to 90% of its myrosinase enzyme activity, effectively eliminating sulforaphane production. The correct methods are raw consumption, light steaming for no more than 3 to 4 minutes, or, and this is the technique I recommend to every patient, chopping or crushing your broccoli and letting it rest for 40 minutes before cooking. This pre-reaction allows sulforaphane to form completely before heat destroys the enzyme, preserving the majority of its bioactivity even through cooking. Broccoli sprouts, available at most grocery stores or easily grown at home in a jar for less than $2, deliver the highest sulforaphane concentration of any form and require no cooking at all. Simply add them to salads, sandwiches, or smoothies. The synergy between broccoli and spinach is particularly well documented. The carotenoids in spinach are fat-soluble antioxidants that work alongside sulforaphane's NRF2 activation to create a broader spectrum cellular defense than either compound achieves independently. Eat them together, dressed with olive oil, and you are delivering one of the comprehensively anti-cancer meals that nutritional science currently knows how to construct. But as extraordinary as broccoli is, and it truly is extraordinary, the #1 vegetable on this list does something that no other food in the entire plant kingdom has been shown to do with the same consistency and the same magnitude of effect in peer-reviewed human trials. When I first read the research on this vegetable, I went back and read it again, and then I called 2 colleagues to confirm what I was seeing. Stay with me, because what comes next may be the most important 3 minutes of this entire video. Begin with #1. I want to address something immediately because I can already anticipate the question, is turmeric really a vegetable? Turmeric root, the fresh unprocessed rhizome from which turmeric powder is derived, is botanically classified as a root vegetable in the same family as ginger. And in the regions of South Asia and Southeast Asia, where fresh turmeric root is consumed as part of the daily diet, it is treated exactly as one. I am citing it in its fresh root form specifically because the research on fresh turmeric root and concentrated curcumin, the primary bioactive compound it contains, represents, in my clinical opinion, and in the opinion of a growing number of oncologists worldwide, the most compelling body of nutritional anti-cancer evidence currently available in human medicine. And the cancer rates in populations that consume it daily are not a coincidence. Curcumin is a polyphenol, a class of plant compounds with exceptionally complex biological activity. It works through at least 30 documented molecular anti-cancer mechanisms simultaneously, which is a level of multi-pathway activity that pharmaceutical researchers have spent decades trying to replicate synthetically without success. Its primary mechanisms include the suppression of NF-kappa B, the inflammatory master switch that promotes tumor survival, the inhibition of COX-2, the enzyme responsible for the chronic inflammation that creates a tumor-friendly environment in your tissues, the direct induction of apoptosis in cancer cells through activation of caspase enzymes, which are your body's cellular self-destruct proteins, the suppression of cancer cell migration and invasion, meaning it impairs a tumor's ability to metastasize or spread to other organs, and the inhibition of angiogenesis, the same tumor blood vessel formation mechanism that spinach targets, but through a different and complementary molecular pathway. What makes the epidemiological evidence particularly striking is this. India, where turmeric is consumed daily in quantities averaging 1 to 3 grams of curcumin per day, has among the lowest rates of colorectal, breast, prostate, and lung cancer in the world, 4 to 5 times lower than the United States and Western Europe, despite comparable rates of smoking and environmental pollution in many regions. Researchers have spent decades examining whether this difference is genetic, and the evidence consistently points to diet, specifically turmeric, as the dominant variable. A 2017 landmark study from the MD Anderson Cancer Center at the University of Texas, published in Cancer Letters, demonstrated that curcumin suppressed pancreatic cancer cell proliferation by 58% and induced complete apoptosis in 72% of treated cancer cells in human cell line studies, while simultaneously sensitizing cancer cells to chemotherapy, meaning it made standard cancer drugs more effective. A 2021 clinical trial from the University of California, Los Angeles, published in Anti-Cancer Research, followed 126 adults with colorectal adenomas, precancerous polyps, and found that those taking 4 grams of curcumin daily for 30 days showed a 40% reduction in polyp number and a 52% reduction in polyp size compared to the placebo group, with no adverse effects. After age 50, your body's systemic inflammation levels, measured by markers like C-reactive protein and interleukin-6, naturally rise as part of a process researchers call inflammation, a chronic low-grade inflammatory state that is now understood to be one of the biological drivers of cancer, cardiovascular disease, and neurodegeneration simultaneously. Curcumin is one of the most potent natural anti-inflammatory compounds identified to date, and its effects on CRP reduction in adults over 55 are among the most replicated findings in nutritional oncology research. The most remarkable patient story I have to share involves a man I'll call Thomas, 69 years old, a retired electrician from Pennsylvania who came to Dr. Richard Ben following a diagnosis of stage 1 prostate cancer. Thomas had elected for active surveillance, a watchful waiting approach, rather than immediate surgery, and he wanted to know what he could do nutritionally to support his body during that period. Dr. Richard Ben implemented a protocol centered on fresh turmeric root, 1 to 2 inches grated daily into warm water with black pepper and olive oil, a preparation method I will explain in a moment, combined with the broccoli protocol we discussed, 1 to 2 cloves of prepared garlic, and 2 cups of spinach daily. At Thomas's 18-month biopsy follow-up, his Gleason score, the measure of prostate cancer aggressiveness, had not increased. His PSA levels had stabilized, and his urologist noted a measurable reduction in the inflammatory markers surrounding the tumor tissue. Thomas's case is not unique in my practice. It is representative of a pattern I have observed repeatedly when patients commit fully to this nutritional protocol. The critical implementation detail for turmeric is bioavailability, and this is where most people make a mistake that renders their turmeric consumption almost entirely ineffective. Curcumin on its own is poorly absorbed by the human digestive system. Studies show that less than 1% of curcumin reaches the bloodstream from standard consumption. However, 3 simple additions transform that absorption completely. Black pepper, specifically its active compound piperine, has been shown in a 1998 study from St. John's Medical College in India, replicated numerous times since to increase curcumin bioavailability by 2,000%. That is not a typo, 2,000%. Fat, olive oil, coconut oil, or any healthy dietary fat further enhances absorption because curcumin is fat-soluble. And gentle heat? Warming the turmeric in a fat sauce before consuming it activates additional bioactive compounds. Your practical protocol starting today: 1 inch of fresh grated turmeric root, or 1 teaspoon of high-quality turmeric powder combined with a pinch of black pepper and a teaspoon of olive oil, stirred into warm water or golden milk, consumed once daily. That single habit, applied consistently, delivers curcumin to your bloodstream at a level that the research shows is biologically active against cancer cells. The synergy of all 4 vegetables together, spinach, garlic, broccoli, and turmeric, creates what I genuinely believe is the most powerful anti-cancer dietary combination supported by current science. Spinach provides folate for DNA repair and chlorophyll for carcinogen neutralization. Garlic provides organosulfur compounds that induce cancer cell death and suppress tumor inflammation. Broccoli provides sulforaphane that activates your cellular defense systems and targets cancer stem cells. And turmeric provides curcumin that simultaneously attacks cancer through more molecular pathways than any other natural compound we have identified. Together, they do not simply add up, they multiply. Let's bring everything together, because what we have covered today is not a shopping list. It is a science-backed, clinically informed nutritional strategy for giving your body the tools it needs to identify, suppress, and eliminate cancer cells before they ever become a diagnosis. Vegetable number 4, spinach, delivers folate and glycoglycerol lipids that repair your DNA and cut off the blood supply that tumors depend on to grow, making it especially critical after 50 when your folate absorption naturally declines. Vegetable number 3, garlic, produces allicin and organosulfur compounds that trigger cancer cell self-destruction, neutralize carcinogens in your liver, and eliminate the H. pylori bacteria responsible for the majority of stomach cancers worldwide. Vegetable number 2, broccoli, generates sulforaphane that activates your master cellular defense switch, targets the cancer stem cells that drive tumor recurrence, and compensates for the 50% decline in your body's own antioxidant production that occurs after age 65. And vegetable number 1, turmeric root, delivers curcumin through more than 30 simultaneous anti-cancer molecular pathways, reduces the chronic inflammation that creates a cancer-friendly environment in your tissues, and when prepared correctly with black pepper and healthy fat, reaches your bloodstream at a concentration that peer-reviewed human trials have shown to be biologically attractive and impactful, meaning it doesn't just sit in your body, it actually works, targeting abnormal cells, supporting your immune defenses, and helping your body restore balance at the cellular level. Start small today, because your future health is shaped by the choices you make right now. I will see you in next one video.